March. I know that because there's a strip in it. So when I was out, was it March we were out here? Okay, yeah, it was March. When I was out in March, I fired strips into anything that was alive. So the fact that there's a strip in it means it died in April when we had that god-awful weather. I don't know why I'm smoking the hive.
I was going to ask you that.
There's no point to smoking it, it's dead. Okay, so right away, I'm going to say there's a nosema issue.
What's nosema?
Poop all over. I'm looking and I see a small cluster of bees here. It only had one strip. I do a strip for every 5 frames of bees. So if it had had 2 strips, it would have been a strong colony. Being that it only had 1 strip, it was not a strong colony. And because I have a very small cluster, I'm going to say that they probably just didn't have enough bees, probably due to the nosema. So you can see that they've started to mold up already. Lots of moisture, there's a lot of dead on the bottom board. Sometimes if you pick through these, you might find the queen in the middle. I'm not seeing her. So we didn't have enough bees for that cold snap, probably partially due to the nosema.
I'm sorry, I know you're saying poop and nose. I don't get what you see. How do you know?
All the black spots.
The black specks.
Uh-huh.
So you also see all the bee poop on the front.
Yeah.
Oh, so they couldn't get out? They had the poop?
No, it's basically diarrhea, right? And they can't get to the bathroom quick enough. Can't hold it any longer, so they do it inside the hive. And very, on the top bars like that is very strong indication that there's a nosema issue.
So are these frames salvageable?
Yep, I will. This one, I think I'm going to unwrap this just because there's only 1 colony here and I want to get these dead outs cleaned up because they're potentially a robbing spot right now, so spread of disease. Being that there's only 1 hive on this pallet, there's not much point in not cleaning up the dead outs, so I might as well unwrap it, and that colony will have to make do on its own. So again, strip.
You put those in 2 weeks ago? Yes.
Nope, those were done in March. They were done in March, so
6 weeks?
yeah, it's about 6 weeks. Wednesday was my date that I could take them out. Now I have another 14 days before I have to have them out. Okay, so main difference here, we don't see the nosema. There's a couple little tiny spots, nothing to freak out about. Not like this one where every single frame has nosema or has poop on it. My biggest issue this year with my losses was I had a lot of late mated queens and the colonies didn't have enough time to build up.
To do what?
Build up, get strong enough for winter. Okay, so bees, it's not a lot, but bees with their bums sticking out of the comb, they starved. Which is funny because there's feed right there.
Yeah.
But they probably had low numbers and it got cold and they didn't want to move, so they froze where they were sitting, or starved where they were sitting. And you see more here, their bums sticking out, very telltale of starvation. This area is all very dry, cleaned out, but they've got feed right there. So a low number of bees, they were having a hard time keeping the heat in, they didn't want to move. And so they stayed there to conserve heat and ended up starving. Just looking at the bottom board, there's a large number of dead at the front, but still not a ton of bees. So they were probably just a weak colony going into winter, and they couldn't take that April. If we'd had a different April, they probably would have been all right.
What's that stuff?
This is mouse poison. Because I've got expensive packs that I really hate to have the mice eat up. and I don't want to go into a winter pack with a bunch of mice feces in it. An example, last year would have been a prime example. My father had a yard on the north part of the property, and he put poison packs in the packs, but forgot to rip them open. So the mice just went to town. Every pack I was opening up, there were mice scurrying around. As soon as I took the pack off, there were mice scurrying around. Just stunk like mouse feces.
Yep.
And in hindsight, after I finished, I was like, boy, that was terrible. And I was like, I probably should have had a respirator on. Because what a great way to get hantavirus.
Yeah.
It was one of those lessons that, okay, next time that happens, hopefully it never happens, I'll stop and go get a respirator.
I'm surprised the bees don't defend against mice and just.
Well, the mice aren't in the hive. They're on top of the hive. So the mice, you got all this heat in there.
Okay, so they're
And lots of insulation, yeah. So there's a mouse hole. There's another. They get in there and they chew it up because it's a hot place. They can easily climb down, go collect food, come back. It's safe. They don't have to worry about any.
All that lovely stuff that you make a little
Yeah,
stuff.
it's great. Occasionally, they'll get into the colony
Like the bees,
and they'll
the
eat
men
the honey and the bees. Not very often.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I've seen where I've gone into a colony and I find the mouse nest, or there'll be a large section, like a round section of it between like 3 frames where they've chewed out all the comb. It's a real pain in the butt. You might as well melt that frame down because they'll never repair it the same way. I've even found dead mice in the hive where the bees have stung the mouse and killed it. Most of the time I don't find mice in the hives. It's on top in the packs. So the poison is, it's just a better way to go. It's safer, it's better for your equipment.
So you put them in every hive?
Every single one is going to have one of those packs sitting on top of the mice don't seem to have an issue procreating, so
No.
I'm not worried about
You can note too, if you live in an RM, your local RM office actually will provide you with poison trees. Go there and get rat poison. And
Rat?
Well, it all is the
Yeah.
same. But you know, you can get like the pellets that, depending on what they have, or also the weather block brooks as well. They don't drink that quite as round as much, so you wouldn't see as many pellets on the top. But it all depends on what you like and what they like.
I'm using pellets because when I bought this place, there were buckets of poison. When I run out, I'll probably be switching to those bait blocks. Bait block doesn't get strewn about as much. Occasionally, some of the poison falls into the hive. I don't want that. So I'm usually trying to avoid that. I'm usually flipping the lid up and just tossing the poison out. I have dogs around, so I don't want some people shove the poison pouch under the pallet. If I come in here at night and lift the pallet up with a forklift to move it, I don't want the dogs to find a poison pack, or I don't want some critter to drag it out so the dogs can get at it. I'm not worrying too much about a couple pellets on the ground. The dogs don't usually find them. And usually the dogs aren't in the bee yard either, but it's inside the hive is safe. As soon as I usually would have a bucket with me, and I'll put them in the bucket right away, collect them that way. Yeah, when I come out to do packs, I usually have a bucket and I just carry it around putting poison packs as I go. So this one, no strip, so it died over the winter. Lots of bees, so you can see all the bees. There's bees there, bees there, bees there, bees there.
Oh,
They've been dead for a long time because they've started molding up.
Oh yeah.
There's some nosema issues there.
It's neat because we didn't see any of that in March when we looked at some of them, right? Like when you flipped over the lids,
Yeah,
you didn't see any mold.
that's very happens with the warm up. We get warm weather with moisture in the hive, and yeah, it starts molding right away.
So what's this?
That's just wax. So they joined. If they're doing really well, they'll build extra wax up so that they can climb up on the lid to get to the feeder hole. So it was just a wax bridge they built. Anything bigger than 3/8 of an inch, they'll fill it. Anything smaller than 3/8 of an inch, they fill that. So I'm pretty sure these ones would have frozen. They don't seem to have a numbers problem. They don't have a feed problem.
Lots of honey.
Lots of honey. Oh,
Gosh.
maybe there's a numbers problem here.
It's all on the bottom.
That's feed, leaky feed.
Oh, okay.
We might have lost our queen early on. Definitely not a feed problem. Yeah, I'm going to switch. It was a numbers problem. Probably because there's no cluster, they don't have a queen.
Oh.
If we saw a cluster, but there's no cluster, they're all right up at the top, so they were trying to stay warm. Yeah, they were trying to stay warm, and they had no cohesiveness, no queen to cluster around. So I was probably queenless going into winter.
So what are you going to do with the
Well,
dead bee frames?
once we get the packs off, I'm going to load these up, take them back to the warehouse, and I'll go through them, and every frame gets inspected, looking for any sign of American foul brood, and then if there's bad comb, it gets culled out to get melted. If it's heavy honey, put it all in one super so I can go out and put it back on a hive. If it's dry comb, then I save it till later on when we've got lots of nectar coming in, and I'll use it as a second on a colony later on. Some guys, my grandmother used to spend a lot of time making up seconds and thirds, and they were sorted out, so there was pollen here, honey here, dry frames here. It was very sorted out. There was a system. Hours spent in the warehouse, and then the bees would get in there and they'd move everything around. So I'm more, okay, they need honey in the spring, we'll give them some honey, get the honey used up, and then in the summer when they're established and they're bringing in lots of resources, we'll just throw the dry comb on them, and they'll fill it with what they need.
And the dry comb is before they do any of the wax?
That would be foundation.
Oh, right.
Dry comb is, you can tell by weight, so this
No
has
honey,
a little
no-
bit of honey,
Right.
but primarily this is a dry comb.
Okay.
There is nothing,
Right.
nothing
much
there.
happening.
There's a little bit of honey, and I can just pick it up and I tell right away, this is going to the dry pile or the heavy pile. This one here would be a heavy one. It's all
So how heavy is heavy? Wow.
It's probably 5 to 10 pounds difference there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Good to know. Ready? Got it?
Yeah.
I don't have any allergies, but when I'm going through get outs like this and taking off packs, I sometimes get kind of stuffed up. Just the dust. Yeah, the mold, the dust gets to me. Cleaning bottom boards is usually the worst because there's lots of dust there.
Do you ever wear a mask or anything?
I probably should, but no, I don't usually.
And it dawned on me as I was coming out here, and it probably has to do with just the fact that it's chemicals, but why don't beekeepers wear like off or DEET or
Because it kills them.
Chemicals.
Why does off kill your bees? Like,
Well, it's the DEET in it. Like you don't want. It's not so much that it kills them; they don't like the smell of it.
yeah.
And I don't like getting stung up.
Oh,
They
okay.
attack you 'cause
That's
you
a good
smell
one.
bad.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I would think that it would repel them a little bit.
yeah,
So
that's what I was thinking.
It's
And
not-
just mentioning too that like even like you said that certain deodorants and stuff, you know, like you said,
Yeah. I had one summer when I was in high school, working for my grandmother. I kept getting stung through my suit. Like I was pulling honey, and my sides were just raw from being stung up. Finally figured out it was a scented deodorant I was using. So we switched to the unscented deodorant. Also was spiking my hair for a time period, and the gel, they didn't like that. So fine now, I use very little scented stuff. It's all unscented, and notice I wasn't smoking.
Don't really need to smoke dead bees.
Yeah, so you're smoking the dead bees now.
Smoke. Smoking is hazardous to their health.
So is this the fun that you have with your smoker?
Not with a blowtorch. Love the blowtorch.
There we go.
Yay!
So not a great hive. I would call this a C quality. But it's alive.
Yeah.
But better than these three.
What would you call these?
Yeah.
Fail.
Yeah.
Any D's usually get
D's
combined.
dead.
Well, D's get combined together. They're not worth having around. The C's are viable. It might just have been a rough winter. They might still have a good queen. If it's still a C in a month, it will get a new queen.
So have we seen a queen today yet?
Not here, we haven't. Saw lots this morning.
Mom always did like them best.
Should be easy to find her in this one. There's eggs there. There's eggs there. So.
Will she have a dot on her?
No. We have a queen somewhere in the colony.
So how long does it take the eggs to go from eggs to pupa to or larva to or
Egg
whatever?
is 3 days. Larva is about 5 to 6 days. And then pupa is 7, I think it is. There's our queen.
Where's your queen? So I can quit looking at this
Oh,
one.
there. Oh yeah, she's quite obvious, eh?
Oh.
Okay. Smile for the camera.
So she's good looking. I would say we've got a numbers problem here because I'm seeing a nice pattern of eggs. They just don't have enough heat. So this is one where if all the other colonies on the pallet were alive, this one would probably be doing a lot better. And you can see how the cluster has moved in because they're trying to find heat. So unwrapping it is not going to help these guys in. But,
Would it help to put that at the front where the sun comes?
well, once these are gone, they'll get that daily sun. So they're not getting that much heat right now. The only thing that taking the packet off is going to do is lose their insulation value. But if they can maintain their cluster, they'll be all right. I think these guys just need some time.
So there's a possibility it's still losing this hive?
If we got, I can't, with the weather forecast we've got, I don't see it. But if it got cold, yes, it could dwindle. We didn't see any cap brood there, right? So they're slow.
We saw a few that had their bungs sticking out that were dead.
Yeah, they need some
Yeah.
time. So,
Yeah.
not too worried about them, but they need some time. Okay, so we're not going to do a mite test on this pallet
Yeah.
because there's just no bees.
So you couldn't take like the dead bees and shake them and
Well, the
Some-
mites aren't going to stay on something dead, are they?
Yeah, so some people say that you can, but I can't see it. The mites are looking for a living host. So,
but if the bees died in the middle of the winter, where are the mites gonna go?
well, they should be dead too.
You would think,
Yeah, 'cause
right?
if they,
I
since
have-
you can freeze them in
Yeah.
the freezer, they would die too then.
Yeah, but you have to get them cold enough too.
Yeah.
So, I have no concern about throwing this on a good hive and like, oh, they're going to catch varroa from that. I can't see it. It's not a concern. If anything, the mites were smart enough to come out and crawl into this hive. Okay, we're going to. There should be a pail
Ticks?
of
Like bee
Oxytet.
ticks.
Should be a pail of Oxytet in the back of the truck. If somebody can
That's what they
sprinkle
are.
that on, I'm going to grab the drill and we'll take this pack off. Yeah, yeah, it should be a pail in there.